So if you get this close, we're going to get this effect. Get close, say something.
Say something.
Just shuffle a little forward. So how are you? You good?
I am good.
You good? Looking after yourself?
Yeah.
You ever pop pimples on your ass cheeks in the mirror?
Not in the mirror, just by hand.
Just by hand? How do you get your head round?
I just feel.
How do you whip your head back there though?
I just feel and guess the pimple.
So you pull like an exorcist move? You sort of like snap your neck 180 degrees?
I just feel around for a pimple and go boop.
I used to try that a lot when I was little. I used to try to get my head as far around over the back of my shoulder as I could.
I don't even forget.
Like, I used to scare myself doing that sort of shit. Yeah, it's a scary thing trying to exorcist your neck back. And I guess you're not even trying to do it in that way. You're just trying to see how far you can go. I guess as a little kid, there are certain things that you try to test out. You don't know your body 100%. I don't know what age you get to when you realize that your body is you.
Exactly.
And then you go exploring. Before you go exploring the world, you go exploring yourself.
And you get comfortable with yourself.
Do get comfortable with yourself, and then you go exploring in the world. But one of the big things was, trying to twist my neck as far as I could backwards behind my fucking shoulders. And you do get a few scary cracks and snaps and pops.
Maybe you could just like bend over in a long mirror.
Bend over in a long mirror? What, to stare at your ass? But it defeats the purpose of, forcing your neck behind your shoulders.
It might break.
You just gave me a life hack. I wish I knew you when I was younger. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to episode 4 of the Jank and Fury podcast. My name is Human number 1. I'm joined by Human number 2. Human number 2 is hanging out. I'm going to play a little game. Do you want to talk about Travis Scott?
Sure.
And talk about that fuckwit?
Yep. Not that he deserves our time.
He doesn't deserve an ounce of shit. No. But we'll talk about what he did this week, on the weekend, maybe last weekend.
Yep.
Whatever time. Recently. He is responsible. He is responsible for the deaths of 9 people now. 8 people, 1 brain dead. 1 fucked.
Somebody with broken legs. Both legs broken as well. Because
well,
he jumped into the crowd.
I think that was at a different event. No, same event.
Yeah.
Jesus, it's all...
Because he was like saying, do it, and the guy fell down.
Well, he's responsible for quite a lot of shit. Quite a lot of violence, quite a lot of stir, and just straight up ignorance for other people's safety. You'd think that paying however much money those people paid to get in, which was also like a Black Friday style entrance, everybody lining up to try and get into that concert. With
one fence.
Multiple fences ended up pushing down the fences, almost like a Black Friday situation. Without rushing to get,
what they
special TVs that were on 50% off, but they were all just rushing to go and see the guy that's going to use fucking auto-tune for the entire gig.
Imagine dying to auto-tune.
Even when he was speaking, it was auto-tune. He wasn't even addressing the crowd with his actual voice.
No.
Which is pretty disappointing. It just goes to show where the music industry is now these days as well.
Exactly. One of the first concerts back.
COVID-19.
COVID shit. Straight into ridiculous amounts of people, deaths.
Yep.
Bullshit.
And everybody pushed shoulder to shoulder. There was one video on TikTok of sort of like a panoramic view of somebody sort of panning the camera across a crowd of people, and there were like upside down people, there were people laying on other people, there were like legs sticking out of mountains of people, and I can't imagine that's a very comfy way to be.
No, the worst part was seeing them, like actual ambulance people, trying to give CPR to people on the ground while there were crowds around. Like, that's fucked. And people were just videoing.
And Travis Scott was facing that situation.
He didn't know what was going on.
But people are trying to defend Travis Scott by saying that he didn't see. He wasn't aware of the situation that was in front of him.
He was in the middle.
So the blue and red lights that are flashing.
And he points them out.
Yeah, I know, right. Well, 10, 20 metres away from you, the blue and red flashing lights are not a dead giveaway that maybe some people in the crowd are suffering.
Maybe something's wrong.
Injuries. Some people were passed out. Well, now that 8 people are dead, he posted a shitty, really pretty disgusting apology video stating how devastated he is, and the video is in a filter of black and white, and there's a lovely light behind his head to show that,
beam off that sad face.
Yeah, the guardian angel is now watching over the fallen fans of Travis Scott. And
that head rubbing
imagine,
all the time.
I guess the main point is, imagine dying at a Travis Scott concert.
I'd rather not. I'd rather waste my time on something.
Do you reckon your soul gets sent directly to hell for dying at such a shitty place?
Maybe.
For supporting such a shitty act?
I feel like in your last breath, you're like, why the fuck did I waste my time on this shit?
What gig would you prefer to die at if you had to die at any gig? Between any. Like, your favourite musician. Yeah, non-auto-tuned one. So
Give me a real singer.
Alright, so we've got to cancel the mumble rappers for starters.
Mm-hmm.
And we might have to take a little bit of a step back, maybe a decade. I will die... Well, I nearly did die at a Stone Sour gig.
Yeah.
But that was because a fat cunt landed on my face. That wasn't really the wildness of the crowd, that was just a slippery fat guy who landed, his ass cheeks
wrong spot,
sandwiched me into the concrete, and that was a lovely time. My eyeball popped out. I was harassed by PSOs at the train station. Yeah, the police were trying to.
We're supposed to help. We're scared.
They were harassing me because they thought that I was on drugs, because I was spewing and I was dizzy and I was blowing snots over the side of the platform. Yeah, well, they didn't know that. I spent an awful amount of time in the toilets, and they'd knocked on the door, and then they started banging on the door until I came out.
Ugh, yeah.
And when I did come out, they were pretty much ready to arrest me until I blew my nose over the side of the platform and my eyeball did a thing. It did a lovely thing where it popped out and my eyelids had, the red ring around my eyeball, and it's sort of like that scene in The Simpsons where Homer gets the vacuum and it accidentally hits him in the eye. He turns around to Bart and his eyes bulging out of his head. It was exactly like that.
I'll be scared.
The reaction of the PSOs and the police was like they immediately left me alone.
I wish you filmed that.
Oh, it was kind of hard to film. I mean, I was...
No, I get you. That would have been funny to see.
I didn't expect it, and nobody else in the group did.
Nah.
The eyeball sort of did its own thing.
Yeah.
I knew something was off like 15 minutes before that, though, because...
You just felt...
I left the concert early, like 2 songs early. I walked out of the venue because my head felt bent. Like, that was one key memory of mine, was my skull was a little bit wonky. That's what it felt like. But there was no way to truly know, and I just kept saying to people, my head's wonky. Like,
I feel like something going on.
Yeah, and I went and sat in the gutter across the road from the venue, and then gradually the people that we went with joined up. But yeah, it wasn't until we got to the train station that my eyeball fucking popped out. And then we got to the hospital, which the taxi driver took his grand old fucking sweet time to get there.
Past every detour.
He bumped, when you play a shitty GTA clone open world game and the GPS is always like, gives you the longest route to get to the mission. But then you cut across like 2 hills and you're there instantly.
Yeah, it takes 2 seconds.
Or it would take
10 minutes.
Yeah, 10 minutes. Yeah. Well, he did that. He just
what a friggin' asshole.
Obviously, he's not going to drive over the hills, but there were clear fucking roads straight to the
hospital.
The hospital.
Detours. corners.
He knew. He could see my distress. My eyeball was not showing any sign of going back into my head.
Blowing it a bit harder at him.
What, he was going to fly out and smack him in the side of the head? If biology worked that way, I most definitely would have done that.
Purposely, just to scare him into driving.
Yeah, I would have whipped him in the side of the ear with my eyeball. But yeah, the eyeball was well and truly placed outside of my head.
That would have been a scare moment.
To be honest, I did try and push it. I pushed the bottom, like the eyeball, the white.
Mm-hmm.
I tried to push it back in, but...
So it was like the whole eyeball, or
Yeah,
just the eye socket?
The whole eyeball had emerged from my socket.
Mm-hmm.
And then the lids around my eyeball were puffed, like there was... Like somebody had stuck a bike pump in my head. So like my eyelids were puffed up. So it was just a big, puffed, shiner black eye sort of thing. And then... You know the Guinness Book of Record lady?
Mm-hmm.
That black lady that can pop her eyeballs out?
Yes,
it was like
I do.
one of my eyeballs was doing that shit.
Ridiculous, like...
Yeah. So when we got to the hospital, the doctor looked at my eye. He did the eyebrows came up, like, oh shit.
You should be used to it.
I was scared. Everyone in the waiting room had a sort of look at me.
If
Like,
I had some glasses, I would have told
dude, I was a fucking freak show, and I don't even know what happened. I blew a fat snot out of my nose after a chuck. No, at the station. 15 minutes later, I'd blown my nose several times before that in the cubicle and shit, and nothing had happened. It was just one big sort of gorby I had to get out of my nose, and then boom.
It's not that you didn't get hit on.
I got landed on by a fat dude.
Okay, yeah, and then you ended up blowing your nose 7 times.
He body slammed my head into the ground. His ass met my head. It was nearly flush to the concrete. Like I went in. Like
what was this song again?
My face went into his body. It was Get Inside by Stone Sour.
Ooh.
It went pretty crazy. It was a circle pit. I was getting thrown around. I was still am pretty scrawny. But everyone was spinning around. Everyone was rocking out to the fucking tunes. And then boom, just my legs came out from under me. And then this lovely fat guy who I was holding onto his shirt when we were going in the circle pit. Like I'd seen him a few times doing the rounds, and then I don't know, somebody must have tripped him. Whatever happened, he essentially curve stomped me with his ass cheek.
Oof, dude.
Yeah, and I remember saying fuck underneath the weight of his body.
Oh.
Because it took a bit of time for him to get up because he was a heavier dude.
Yeah, that was taking a second. The balance back.
So while I was smushed under the weight of his ass, I was like, fuck. And then he got up, and I remember like stumbling. It immediately made me drunk. Like it felt
that, like
I had one drink and it was like 3 hours earlier, so I wasn't wasted or anything.
Yeah, already felt that drunk feeling. That's horrible.
It completely rocked my system, yeah. And then I walked out of the circle pit. I tried to get out of the circle pit. People actually helped me. They were very nice.
That's very good.
And unlike Travis Scott's concert, I was allowed to leave the circle pit. Yeah, I got out of the danger zone in like 30 seconds. Mm-hmm. Like there was a little bit more bumping. There was a little bit more bumping, but people saw that I was holding the side of my face. They knew something was wrong, and they sort of escorted me safely out the side of the circle pit.
Common sense.
Well, yeah, it was common sense to an extent. I mean, people helped the fat guy up. They helped me up. Mm-hmm. The fat guy continued. I don't even think he knew what he did.
Can we expect it now?
Well, he didn't apologise or anything because I don't think he
realised the extent he did.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting an apology out of him. So, yeah.
I would have felt more embarrassed, like, oh, shit.
I made my way out the front, and I felt like I was going to spew, but I didn't.
You and then concussion instantly, yeah.
I had no idea what was going on for starters.
That hard.
My vision was wonky. I was seeing double. My head felt like from the eye socket point, you know, like the sort of ridges between the temples.
Yep.
Both eye sockets. I felt like that was diagonal. Like, ooh. Yeah, it felt so weird. I can't actually explain.
Not normal to feel.
And so I went up to the station, and I sat in the cubicles for ages, and then boom, boom, boom.
Was there no ambulance people
or
medical at the...
No medical staff. Well, there might have been, but I was too fucked
to even notice.
To even know what was going on. Yep, I didn't request anything. I walked out of the venue, straight out of the venue.
That's too easy.
There was a side exit, and they had also, like, opened up the front entrances, sort of like backstage, like nosebleed section. There were exits that you couldn't exit at the beginning, but you could towards the end because it was the second last song.
Yeah, and then at that point they already had their people there, like bringing people out.
Yeah, it was Melbourne's Festival Hall, so you could feel the wind. You could feel the outside sort of 11:30 night wind coming in, and I just went towards that and went across the road, sat in the gutter with both my hands firmly against my head, and then everybody sort of spilled out gradually. I sent a couple of texts, but they were pretty nonsensical. I was very fucked up. Yeah. And we walked up, and I was complaining the whole way up. My head's wonky, I feel diagonal, I don't know what's going on. Everyone's like, yeah, weirdo, whatever, dude. Like,
you didn't
you've
look
hit your head
at all.
I didn't look different. No, there was nothing wrong yet.
No.
Like, I probably just looked a bit nauseous.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until, that moment where I blew my nose a little too hard. And so, to the original point, I had a orbital fracture in my eye socket. An orbital fracture, where my eye socket and my nasal canal were like open to each other. It's like I forced air up into the back of my eye socket, and my eyeball just freely popped on out. And then the excess air that was behind it pushed the eyelids out too. So it did a whole freak show thing.
So both sides.
One side, just one side, yeah. And it didn't let down for like a couple of hours. So I was a freak show for a couple of hours. Then my eyes sort of like gradually retreated back into my head, but the eyelids themselves, like the bottom and the top, they were puffed for like 2 days.
Oh, of course, I could only imagine why
and then,
they would swell up and how long they would swell up.
Oh, they bruised up. It looked like I had been bashed.
Did you go to the doctor?
Well, I'd been bashed by an arse cheek, but it looked like I'd been bashed by a pack of people. Just one, yeah. And he goes, I'll just get you to do one thing. And I was like, yeah, easy, man. Like, whatever's going to help. And he goes, just don't blow your nose for 2 months.
You need to sneeze.
If you need to sneeze, whatever. But
how are you supposed to hold the, like, you'd think that your eyeball would want to...
It didn't come out again. So I don't remember sneezing for 2 months. I'm sure I did.
I'd probably just keep...
I'm sure I did, but I'm not an internal sneezer.
Yeah, like, I'm out.
Like my mum's an internal sneezer, and it sounds like straight violence. Like when I'm in the car with her and she sneezes, it's all like... It's all internal. It's just like an explosion inside the head, and it gives me like PTSD when I hear that shit. I'm like, please, can you just sneeze outwards? You know those people, they go, like...
Yeah, I remember trying that once in school while in the middle of a test.
And you didn't want to sneeze out loud?
Yeah, so I decided I'd hold my nose and try like... The noise I made, I was so embarrassed. The anxiety that went through my gut. There was a divider in the wall, so like I was at the back of the classroom. So both classrooms...
Wait, was it like a voting booth?
It was like... We were doing a big test that day and I wanted to be kind of quiet. So, like, when we were doing a big test, I decided, I don't want to, like, sneeze out loud and, like...
Yeah, and alert all the heads. All the heads turn.
Yeah, I was like, maybe I'll sneeze with my nose closed. I made the most fucking noise. Like, both classes, you could hear them stop, like...
What was it? Like an internal sneeze, just...
Just like, so I can't even explain the noise. It was so loud.
What, you breathed in first and then sneezed? Or it was just a...
Like,
okay, alright.
Like, the noise was ridiculous.
Did you get any stringers?
Yeah.
Snot strings? One.
That was from my mouth. I had a string from my mouth.
Oh, ooh.
Not a snot string, like just
What's
saliva.
What's worse, a mouth string or a nose string?
I'd rather some saliva than some snot.
Yeah.
Some jewel's not going to hurt. Some snot, that'll show up a bit more.
Well, if you dribble, you look retarded. If you have a snot string...
Kind of look retarded.
Yeah, I guess you do, but it kind of looks like you're sick. Yeah. But if you're just like sitting there and then you dribble onto your test paper, it's like, what's this fucking nuffy doing studying the test? Have they even answered a question yet? I
remember falling asleep during class. My teacher actually was like...
Haven't we all, though?
Yeah, but my teacher let me sleep.
Like, what grade were you in?
Bell rang.
What year were you in?
Year 8 or 9. And the teacher...
You shouldn't be sleeping...
No, I was so tired, so exhausted. I was trying to stay up and, like, I just passed out. Like, this was when I had insomnia. I couldn't sleep.
Oh, okay, alright. Year 8, year 9, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Insomnia. What, you had this was before Netflix, yeah?
Yeah.
So what did
Before
you do
Netflix existed, I would literally stay up all night watching
What were you doing?
whatever I could. I would listen to YouTube videos, like music. I would watch... I loved Supernatural at the time, so I would stay up all night watching Supernatural.
Okay.
And then I would
So Sam and Dean kept you company while you had insomnia. They're two good blokes to keep you company while you're fucking...
They were good, but
staying
it
up all
scared
hours.
me a bit more because I was, like, lack of sleep but watching Supernatural.
Okay, yeah. And I guess, like, the only way to deal with the shitty CGI in that TV show is to have insomnia, so you don't spot the shitty TV effects. Because it was a TV show and not a movie, so, like, you do run into those problems where, like, sort of like Doctor Who. Like, I really wanted to get into Doctor Who, but, like, the CGI sucks dick.
It does.
Like, it sucks.
If we could bring out our own version but the same story, that would be amazing.
I don't think I'd do any better.
No.
Like, I think Doctor Who is Doctor Who. Look, I watched Doctor Who for Matt Smith, and I didn't... Like, when I broke into Doctor Who, I had bought all of the DVDs that had strictly Matt Smith. So I was, like, expecting Matt Smith to continue. I thought Matt Smith was going to be the Doctor from now on.
Dude.
He's the one with the bow tie, yeah.
Yes.
He's the cool one.
I was the two before and then him.
You know, the hot one. Because all the other ones are fucking gross looking.
The two before were
You got a
good.
bald one. You got a one that looks sort of like...
The bald one with the blonde-haired girl.
The blonde-haired girl was in a car. Oh,
She was Rose.
I know the one you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So who was the one with Matt Smith? Who was the redhead chick?
She was...
That dressed as the fucking... She was the stripper at the beginning episode, and he discovered...
Fish and custard. Remember the fish fingers and custard?
Look, it's been a while.
Okay, so he really liked fish fingers and custard. And
He showed up in her fucking house when she was a kid,
with fish fingers.
and she fucking waited around till she was an adult, and he shows up again.
Oh, and Rory, the boyfriend of her.
And he gets forgotten forever. Do you remember when he's like his body went into like the tear?
Into Roman time, man.
Yeah, but do you remember when his like body crossed the tear and it was like deletion? It was like permanent deletion of humanity. Dude, that fucking upset me a little bit.
It hurt my heart when Rose was on the other side of the door and you saw him crying. The part when he turns to the new doctor, which I haven't even given a chance because I loved him so much. Like,
there's a fucking chick doctor now.
Yeah, like when I saw
it's a Black
him
Mirror
in
chick.
the elevator changing over, like that made me sad. I was like so in tears. I was like, oh.
Do you know what broke my fucking heart? Remember the aliens without a mouth? Remember those aliens that like they do the shh thing and you forget?
The orbs.
Like they were like tall, gross, almost skeletal fucking aliens. Yes.
I know who you were on about, yeah.
And he was a spaceman on the beach and you thought that he was fucking dead. Yeah. So do you remember the episode where they're on the ship that is actually a giant animal?
Yes.
Floating through space, sort of like the Axiom from WALL-E. But then there's like the faces that change. So you fuck up on a ship and you get a happy face, a half face, or like I think it was a sad, like an angry, like an enraged face. And then, fuck, I completely forget. You have to follow the prompts, blah, blah, blah. You forget what happened and then you just get released back into the public. And then... they were torturing the animal to continue through space.
Yes.
And I don't know if the animal died, they freed the animal, I don't fucking remember. But I just remember those seasons being like fucking badass. They were pretty cool.
I was doing especially the vampire
but
one.
Yes.
One of my favourite episodes.
In like Paris or back in the day or something, Renaissance.
Like Romish area, back there. And they lived all under the big castle up in there.
I do remember, but like, I just remember the fucking special effects being subpar shit.
Greatest.
And it really broke the immersion. Like it was like an indie game that's like trying to make it, and there are some bits in the game where you're like, this could be a new IP.
I guess I watched it when I was younger, so I was like 13 or so. So like. And I hadn't watched many movies where they had really great, like, everything going on. So when I watched that, I was like, dude, this is sick.
I think Saving Private Ryan was like the first movie where I thought it was like found footage. That sounds so stupid, but I did watch Saving Private Ryan when I was like 12 or 13 the first time.
That's so young.
And that D-Day beach scene literally fucked me up as a kid because I was like, is that real?
Yeah, watching that as a 24-year-old person was fucked up. Like,
yeah, you watched a lot older, so I guess. But even now, I watched that movie and I'm like, every single game that is World War II based, every single movie that's World War II based, they always have a fucking Ohama Beach D-Day scene.
And then that friggin' spot with...
Yeah, the spot with the towers shooting down on the cunts running up the beach.
Nobody can go up and kill them.
But the first to do it, properly. I don't know if there was a movie before Saving Private Ryan that did that, but, you know, except real life.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was the first one played out.
But they did it so fucking well. It was just
scary.
Those camera angles behind the gunners in the murder hole, shooting down on the people coming out of the boats. Let's just, for a second, let's just change the subject and bring up the fact that those boats were the worst designed boats I've ever seen in my fucking life. If you were an American infantryman in World War II, you were literally signing up to die.
Basically signing your death,
Like, I don't know if the boat's wheel span for that long. I think that was to try and promote drama.
Yeah.
Like, that was a drama thing, you know, because it spins for like 20 seconds and you're like, geez.
I don't know if when it was supposed to come in, it was supposed to come in like a little bit side on
Nah. They all just...
Whatever they did was not working.
Think about it. They were like trays. They were like shovels with a door on the front. They just scooped up onto the beach and then the door dropped.
The safety.
And they literally opened up to the most fucking savage gunfire ever. No wonder. I think
didn't even make it out of the
Yeah,
boats.
dude. There were like 30,000 casualties on D-Day or something. Look, correct me if I'm wrong. It's on the beach itself. Before the fucking planes flew over, before the big aircraft carriers, all the big ships came in, there were just countless. It's fucking crazy the amount of bodies that were just floating. Imagine being one of those blokes that lived, or that was a little behind those fucking shovel boats, those scooper boats, to clean up the 30,000 bodies.
Yeah, imagine being one of the ones alive. Like, it'd be shit to die, but like, imagine being one alive and seeing every single person you were with dead.
Do you reckon they cut corners? Like in World War II, 30,000 people dying, 30,000 coffins, the materials made to, you know, send those bodies back to America, the amount of messages that they would have had to, you know, send to the parents, the relatives that were over in America. Yeah, but 30,000.
That's why lots of them didn't.
There might have actually, you know what? I'm just going to fact check myself because I don't want to go and fucking blurt out bullshit facts. But I'm pretty sure, hang on, World War II D-Day casualties. It was something within, hang on, casualties being estimated between, German casualties. No.
Yeah, no.
Allied casualties. Okay, 10,000.
Damn.
Were documented for at least 10,000 with 4,414 confirmed dead. Nowhere near as many as that I was saying. Sorry about that, guys. But 10,000 to 4,414.
It's still crazy.
It's still a lot of bodies to fucking scoop up.
Imagine seeing that on a beach. Like, that'd be your worst nightmare. Like,
they're all relatives of someone. They're all fathers. Well, a lot of fathers, a lot of sons.
A lot of young teenagers just branching off to go into the war like their family did.
Every single one of those blokes, those men on those beaches were sons. And I'm not 100% educated on 1940s warfare, but I'm positive that there were no women running up that beach.
None.
The new Call of Duty Vanguard is an absolute fucking shit stain.
It is.
A shit stain, which is training the fucking kids of today to think. It's a mockery, 100%.
Yeah, exactly. All these people today are going to believe all us women went out there to help the men do this. No, the fuck we didn't. We didn't help them. We stayed at home while they went off to the war.
Blokes were drafted.
And fought for their friggin' lives and our lives.
Yep.
And then people are now going to believe, because they all want equal rights, that we were there with them.
Yep, women were standing beside the men on D-Day on a Harmer beach, running up that fucking beachfront, copping bullets to the fucking head.
Blocking them, man.
Yep, and they were linking arms with women. We're all singing Kumbaya, doing the fucking conga line up the beach. Conga line.
Conga line.
Yep.
Skip.
There was a fucking Bluetooth speaker. They were dragging on wheels up the fucking beach, singing, "Do you believe in love after love?" We're all together in this, equality and shit. 1940s, we all fucking loved each other. There were women beside us. Call of Duty Vanguard is a fucking shit stain, and if you're playing it, good on you. I hope you get the fun and the time out of your $99 Australian.
Exactly.
America, it's probably $60.
You paid for it, enjoy it.
Yeah, you paid for your $100. Now go get a false history up, yeah. I'm sure.
Go and learn some actual history.
Yeah, go and open a book. Go and read a fucking book for once, instead of going and playing Call of Duty Vanguard and hearing bitches scream on the beach.
And expecting they were there.
Yeah, because they weren't.
Nah, not a woman in sight.
From the study I've done, there were no women running up that beach.
Nah.
Getting their arms blown off, heads.
Around somewhere to help with medical shit.
Yeah.
But that's as far as it went.
I think, in the 1940s, there weren't frontline women. No. Maybe in the, the opposing... Oh, of course, yeah. In the medical sector. Mm-hmm. But I can't speak for women that were in, on the... What is it? The motherland? The Russians. What were they called? The Red Army? Mm-hmm. The motherland? Mm-hmm. The Japanese? The Germans? I can't speak for them, but the Americans? Come on, man. Men were conscripted. They had their fucking dates pulled out of a hat.
Yep.
Out of a wheel. Mm. It was the worst lottery on the planet to win. Guess what? Congratulations. You have won the privilege to go and defend your country, and you're probably going to be cannon fodder.
What age was it again?
18 or whatever.
18? Yes, it was 18.
Look, I'm going to go off Saving Private Ryan, and Tom Hanks was in his 30s, so he would have been he was a school teacher. Mm-hmm. Who knows how long he was a school teacher for? He was a captain in the military. I'm sure he didn't want to be part of the military. Yes, I'm talking about Tom Hanks, but his character in the movie.
Exactly.
He was a school teacher. And you know what? Half of his platoon didn't even know he was a fucking school teacher. So it just goes to show how well acquainted the people in the 1940s military were with each other before they went and fought an army of people. They had no idea, The Germans thought they were doing the right thing.
Oh, they knew who was their captain was and what they needed to do.
The Nazis didn't form in a day.
Nah. They took a long time of merging
Well, it formed on innocent grounds.
Mm.
Hitler was part of the Workers' Party, and before that, he fought in World War One. Think of the vengeance. Think of the cold, hard vengeance this man had developed over the years there wasn't a world war, to then gain the trust of the German people to once again rise up, chose all the right words, controlled an entire country's worth of people to turn against everybody else.
Fed them drugs.
Fed them pervitin.
Himself on drugs.
Mm-hmm.
Made it normal.
He was a notorious drug addict. By the end of the war,
couldn't even give himself his own drugs at one point.
He had acquired brain injuries by the end of the war. Who knows if it had to do with the amount of drugs that were pumped into his system. He had long sleeve jackets all the time to cover the amount of IV drips that were feeding from the back of him. I wonder if those speeches that went out to space, nearly reached other galaxies, where the first words that aliens, if they exist, would have heard was Hitler going off his fucking knocker.
No wonder why we haven't
talking about scourges on the world and how they need to be ridden, and talking about final solutions. and how he's going to solve that. And that was just spilling out into the stars, into the cosmos.
If I was an alien, I'd probably fly in the other direction.
If you're an alien, you'd fly in the other direction?
Yeah, fuck yeah. If I heard that shit, I'd be like, okay, back that way.
I'd fly closer.
I'd probably fly in a little bit, investigate and be like, going.
Remember in school when there was a punch-on and you would follow the mob? Did you ever follow the mob to see the punch-on? Like, was that a thing that you did?
The punch-on just kind of happened really quickly and we're just in the middle of a spot, so like, it was more like you were there kind of ready for it happening.
Yeah, but if you were around the corner, say you were sitting in like a seated area and you heard someone yell out fight, you wouldn't get up and run over?
I probably looked, but I wasn't that.
You weren't one of the people that was sort of run over?
Yeah, it gave me definitely.
Come like, closer, the mic can't hear you. Okay. So it would,
going into like, even think of that, I'd prefer to just stick on the outside and maybe have a glance over and see what's going on. If somebody was struggling really bad, I would get in there and help them though.
You would get into the punch-on on the oval?
I'm not the person to stand by and let somebody get like hit and hurt. If I can help in any way, I'll stop that shit from happening.
But if it's two blokes just head down, head down haymakers, just all out haymakers, no one's aiming. People are just fucking slapping each other's heads.
I just get ridiculous anxiety and just probably ignore it.
So you weren't one to sort of egg it on, yell?
Nah.
Okay, well you were one of the good ones then. But imagine the aliens heard Hitler's speech from wherever they were flying. You know, they're flying by, they're sucking some energy out of a star, a planet, a nearby whatever. And they hear Hitler going off. They hear Hitler just like he had a country's worth of people sitting there cheering him on. The alien goes, wait a minute. Like, this guy's got some fucking... He's got a bit of heat. He's flexing a little bit. He's got a bit of a flex.
Definitely did.
They decide to fucking hyperdrive over to our planet. They stop by, they just hover up in the clouds, put on cloaking mode.
So we only see lights?
Yep. Oh, no lights even. They're just hovering over and they're just having to listen to Hitler spill his words, and they don't know what he's saying. They don't speak the language. They're just like, this guy's very passionate. He's a very passionate fella.
Listen to that.
Yeah, listen to the fucking the dedication in the voice. And then all of a sudden the crowd turns around, they spread out and they march towards Poland. You know, they march towards Italy, France,
wherever
other countries.
To be honest.
Yep.
They just tried as much.
Now I'm not too educated on the whole Mussolini and Stalin situation, which were the two other dictators during that era.
No.
There were, a few others and whatnot. I think, who was the British guy at the time? Winston Churchill? I think that was him. So, yeah, the Nazis fucking tried to take over England. That was pretty disgusting. They had bombs that sounded like motorbikes flying over the top of the city. And none of the British people knew that where they were dropping. They would sort of be completely randomised. They would drop in random parts of London.
It's horrible.
So,
that would have played
the fucking fear, yeah. It's like, again, if you weren't conscripted...
I'd be hiding down in my freaking... Like, they obviously would have had bomb shelters back in the day over there.
Yeah, but you think about the shitty amount of time that you were probably given.
Exactly, to just hear that...
Yeah, but
through the air.
That too, but also the fact that you had 2 weeks to build a bomb shelter. Alright, see, the Germans have improvised and they're now using engine-powered bombs that fly over and hit at random. Build a bomb shelter. It's sort of like, go out and buy a car so you can drive away. It's like, with what money, you know?
Exactly.
Oh, you've got 2 shovels and a spade. You got a garden spade?
So I guess only certain people would have definitely had their own little...
I don't know about the 40s. Obviously wasn't back then. But I don't think you could hire tradies to come in and dig you out a fucking hole on time.
No, unless you're paying them enough to live in there, because...
And the tradies would have been full-time busy, if not in the army fighting against the Germans themselves.
There would have been no time for them to come in and make you a hole.
So who was digging the bomb shelters? Who was digging them? The men, women and children? Because they were the only fuckers left. I mean, sorry, the old people, the women and children, were the only people left after World War II.
Exactly. Everybody else was sent out.
It's why it was so easy for the remaining soldiers to come in, rape, pillage, take what they want, marry off, kidnap, whatever. All the blokes, all the fucking so-called tough guys were dead and were wiped out. Where's your equality there?
A lot of them had already given up hope on hearing from their loved ones.
Oh, absolutely. On all sides.
Long.
Look, regardless of whether you think that the Russians did the right thing, Japanese, American, the Anzacs, the Germans, whatever, did the right thing, it was a world war. Humans came together to kill each other. And that's the big thing.
The scariest part was that, when they would get caught, they would decide to take a pill.
Yeah.
That pill,
cyanide pill.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
That pill, and that would just end them. They didn't even think they were, kind of worthy to have that chance. They just decided to pop that and die out.
Well, after World War II, there was the Nuremberg trials. And the Nuremberg trials they would capture any remaining officers of the camps, high-ranking officers of the Third Reich, and they would justly charge them for war crimes. So a lot of them chose to take their lives before the end of the war because they knew that the world was closing in on them.
And when the world became real again, they would be in a lot of trouble.
And the Germans had paid for what Hitler did for years, for decades and decades after World War II, and treated as if they were part of the Nazi party. Even, there were a lot of Germans that disagreed with the policies and the situation that they were thrust in, and they were, dealt with accordingly. Mm-hmm. We don't know the full extent of the situation, I'm sure.
We will never know.
We will never know, yep.
Wasn't our time.
But the Americans, getting down to it, the Americans, I think, committed as big an atrocity as the Germans did. Yes, the Germans committed a complete and utter a Holocaust. Mm-hmm. They committed a Holocaust which took the lives of 6 million innocent, sweet people that were just trying to live among...
Scared, just trying to get through the years.
Confused people who didn't deserve the fate that was waiting for them at those places. Disgusting. That during World War II, most outside people didn't even know of the concentration camps. They had no idea. It was almost like a whistle. It was like an Edward Snowden situation where one person says something, they go, bullshit. That's not fucking happening. And then, after the war, wait a minute. Mountains of gold teeth, mountains of jewelry, clothing, shoes. These camps that were just littered with bodies. The people that were still in these camps were just famished and dying, wasting away. And you can't really put anything to it. When the Americans came through those concentration camps, you can imagine the astonishment.
Oh, yes.
Like, you can imagine the confusion on their faces that a country would subject a people to that situation. It's pretty dark and pretty disgusting.
It is.
But
it would have been a shock.
Getting into the American side of things, completely frying cities.
Mm-hmm.
Can we... Yes, they didn't kill as many people as the Germans did, but are we playing a stat game here?
Not at all.
Like, are we competing against the stats of who killed who?
I hope not.
And at what level of atrocity was committed? Because the Americans had rushed to split the atom, and they did. They did with the help of a country that was many, many decades ahead of any other country on the planet, the Germans, with the help of the smartest Germans, the scientists, that were designing rockets and firepower and weaponry under Hitler. They fled to America and then worked under the Americans, the American government. Then after World War II went on to found NASA, which took the Americans to the moon before the Russians. So it's a situation that's completely unfolding, over the years, and it continues to fucking unfold as we speak.